How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we have an Acura RDX here that we're going to be installing paint protection film on the front bumper. I did ask you guys on my community board if you'd prefer to see this bulked or in a kit installed, and 100% of you picked bulking. So we're going to be bulking this front bumper today. All right, so a couple of you, it seems like you wanted to make me think a little. That's basically what your comment was saying. And definitely there's going to be a little bit more thought process involved when you're bulking over when you're installing a kit. So let's go ahead and get on this. We have installed paint protection film on this exact bumper before. There was something that needed replacing over here, so they had to do some paint work. So they did remove this bumper as far as the paint protection film off the bumper, but they did not repaint the bumper. So this is factory paint, and we're just going to be putting paint protection back over it. I know that we're going to need a couple things on this bumper. Let me kind of just show you around here. So chances are that we're going to need some kind of relief cut right in here, and then potentially something for this area here, because that dives down in like that so much. It's going to be difficult to get the material to stick to that. It's also going to be interesting because of the way this angle goes. I don't know if you can understand it, but or all of you, because maybe you haven't done enough paint protection film, but what I can see from this is that if we put this material on and then try and put this on without doing some kind of like relief, like seam right here somewhere, it's going to put a whole lot of extra material, fingers that are going to be like fingers back here. And so we may end up installing all this and then having to, before we're able to get this to go down, we may have to put a cut right here and then pull this a little bit tighter in order to get it to not have fingers in it, because the way that this material curves like this and is going to contour, it's going to create fingers there, I believe. And then so we'll see what happens with that. But right here, that's a pretty deep recess to expect the material to go in there and turn. We might mess with it a little bit and see how little of a relief cut we can get there, or if we can just not get one altogether, but I'm about positive it's going to need one there. And for longevity's sake, to make sure that we have something on there that's not going to pop up, a relief cut there is probably a wise idea. All right, so let's go ahead and measure this and see what we need for material, since we're going to be bulking today. So this is basically the height of this bumper here. And then it looks like as this comes across, I don't know how many words to use. So, you know, I started doing chapters, so you can skip all this stuff if you don't want to see this, you want to get right to the install. Because of the way that bumpers like curve back this way, material lays on here, and because the material is straight, it goes on and then kind of dives down on the sides. And that's just the natural curve of a flat piece of material over a surface that's turned. And so what's going to be important is that, let's see. Okay, we've got like 24 inches to right there. So we're going to need to be really careful, because this area is getting really close. We're going to use a 24-inch roll. This is getting close to needing that full 24 inches. So when we put this material on here, we're going to want it to be nice and basically kind of straight here, and make sure that we have coverage on these 4 spots. And then as it comes over here, it's naturally going to kind of look like it's bending down. And because this is so low, and this looks like it might go down well, no, not really. No, this is up higher. So this stuff is all going to get good coverage over here. We're mostly worried about these 4 points. And then these circles that are right here that are for where the license plate goes, you're just going to have to leave air in there. And I remember when I did this one last time, I didn't even cut out around these, because what I figured was that the air that is left in there is going to look better than having dirt get all caught up in there and get caught up on our edge that we cut. So we're going to just go over the top of those and not worry about trimming that. Okay, and then, I mean, basically we're gonna come in under here, go around, come back out, go down this section here. So we're just gonna go around, get some great coverage on this, and let's get started, huh? Oh. Come on, you guys. We got to measure from left to right still. All right, so we've got about 97 inches there necessary. All right, now let's go cut out some material. All right, we'll go ahead and click this on. Grab our 24-inch roll. That will not be enough. All right, let's get the newer roll on there. Okay, let's load this on now as far as through the pinch rollers. Okay, make sure we're gonna have this lined up straight. Make sure the pinch rollers are down. Great. Okay, tell it we have a roll on there. And we tell this we have a roll on here, what it's gonna do is it's not gonna find this corner. So it'll leave it right where it's at. If you press one of the other buttons, it'll actually even roll back with this sensor here and find out where the edge of the material is. Okay, so now we need 97 inches. $81, $99, that'll do. Wow, you're so special. What is this, advertisement now?
Yeah, if they want to sponsor us, they could.
All right, so let's get this release liner off of here.
I'm like 15 cents cheaper.
A gallon? All right. I still need to mix up my keg. Slip solution. Womp womp. All right, so let's go ahead and mix up some slip solution. Today I'm going to go ahead and do 10 milliliters of soap per gallon. And let's see. I'm only going to need a gallon today, so we'll just run with that.
I guess this 2 is not accurate.
So that's all right. Start that refilling. It's kind of, let's pull that back a little flatter there. Okay. Great. It's positioned really well. See what I was saying there? So it's a possibility we might be able to do something to get rid of this big finger right here. We may be able to tilt this up like that and get rid of this, the finger there, which will also then kind of help put some material in here, but we might end up with too much. It's gonna be close. I think we're gonna be able to get this part, I hope. And then this part, I'm definitely anticipating a seam, or not a seam, but a relief cut right there. All right, let's get rolling. All right, so it looks like there's really not much of any stretch needed in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and start there, and then we'll stretch away from that. All right, want to make sure that we've got plenty of material at the bottom there to cover this piece, and that we also have enough up there. Let's pull this back. Doesn't have any pre-tacking yet, so we're good there. And then let's start putting a little bit of stretch into this and see what we're gonna need. And really, it doesn't look like it really needs any stretching through this whole portion. Then let's also make sure that will stretch help us with anything? I think we might need just a little bit of stretch on it. Something like that looks really good. We'll see if we can get rid of this. All right, so this squeegee is like too big. Too wide. I feel like I need to cut a little bit of that off. Okay. And then we've got a big finger going here, so I am gonna put just a little bit of tension on this to help get rid of some of that. Let's get some moisture on here. And then we'll go ahead and go up and over onto the chrome. Okay, we'll just keep working our way over this direction. I held that down with my finger to get that to tack down right away here. And stop popping up, although it is popping up a little bit still, so let me grab my tack solution. All right, and let's see how this is gonna lay down in here first. Okay, so this part, I think I'm gonna need to put a little bit of tension down on this to help get rid of that, which is the problem with that is that it's gonna create more fingers here. But I don't know that there's any other way to do this. See all the fingers there? Which is definitely gonna be part of why there was, potentially gonna need to be a relief cut here. Otherwise, when this goes up, we're not getting enough coverage there. So can we come down a little more? Let's try that. Okay. Let's get this squeegee back over to this point. Right there. All this stuff with these bumpers is like a puzzle. You're trying to figure out this puzzle. I'm gonna get a chair too. All right. So I can sit down and work on this part. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. Now, if we you know, if we tilt this way like we were talking about, and then try to maybe potentially bring some of that extra up into here, let's see what that'll look like. That's definitely better for this section, but we also haven't gotten this out yet. So let's see if we can go, let's see if we can kind of go down this way with this stretch. Like that. It will potentially make some more fingers out here, but those are still manageable. Okay, let's see what we can do with that. Let's get the rest of this solution out here. It's probably best just throw some tack in here now. Okay, let's get this part back down. Great. Okay, let's get a little mist on there too. Okay, let's take the rest of this down. Got some tack in there. Let's make sure we're not pre-tacking. Looking good. All right, so today I'm actually using a different squeegee. This is the one that has a durometer. Is that what they call it? It's the next step down from the black squeegee that I use all the time. I thought I'd just try it to see how it works, if it gets enough pressure on the film and things like that. Maybe it'll contour a little better. We will see. Okay, so something like that would work really good for right here. As long as we can get all this down. Okay, let's see. Something about like that can work. Let's get some more tack in here. Okay, so all the way back to that grill, all the way down. Okay, got really good coverage there. Let's see if we can make that work, huh? Now, what can we do with this? Now, I think if we could put some stretch on this, we're gonna be in good shape. So let's go ahead and do a couple other things first though. So the only reason I can let this sit for so long here and then put a little stretch on it and not end up with a stretch line is because there's really not much of any stretching. So if I needed more stretching for this bumper, I would not let that sit like that and mess around down here for so long. I would get this stretch done first. But this isn't really going to be an issue on this one. Okay, because as you can see there, I mean, it just lays out and there's no tension on that. All right, so let's go ahead and squeegee some of this out. So something like that's looking really good. Just go ahead and take all this stuff all the way out to the edges. Okay, that looks really good. Now you see this right here? What that's telling me is that this needs a cut somewhere in order so that we can pull this a little bit tighter. So let's see, can we just, I'm gonna go ahead and go right here, down like this, and then I'll come over a little bit and then go up. And I think that's gonna correct it. I was trying to decide if a relief cut, if doing this same cut over here would give me the same outcome. But I'm not sure if it will, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it on the side I'm certain it's gonna work on, which is right here. All right, so now we're all the way up to the top there. All of this is good and squeegeed out and stuck down. Okay. So far, this squeegee seems like it's working pretty well. So I might be able to use both of these, the black one and this red one. I think one was an 80 and one's a 90. So this is must be an 80. All right, so this here, you know, if you see, if we try to turn this at all, we get fingers all over the place. So what we're gonna do, because we have all this, because we can put a relief cut here in this material, we don't have to worry about leaving a bunch of extra material there. Now, obviously there's bumper there we needed to attach to, this wouldn't work. But the way that this is all set up, this is gonna work really well. Okay, so let's get some tack in here. And let's get that just laid down nice and flat like that. And squeegee this out. I'm gonna take this up into that recess between the two panels. Okay, that looks like it's staying down really well. Great. Go ahead and get some more tack in here. And we'll push this part down to right there. Okay, great. Now, let's go ahead and make a cut in this. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually going to cut, I need to make sure and stay like in the middle, and more so I need to stay just low enough that this will contour in, and then the rest of it, you know, if we get too close to this, that's fine, because this is gonna end up kind of shifting up anyway. So we can start down here, go up like this, start making a turn so we leave ourselves plenty of extra material there, and then we could stop somewhere like right there, and then we'll make a decision on what else we need to do in this area here. Now I do see that the material has popped up a tiny bit right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and spray some tack in there, and then we're squeegee that back out. So a little tack underneath, a little slip on top. Okay, great. All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna go ahead now and figure out how we can install this without leaving fingers everywhere. Like, we've got way too much finger here and way too much here. So we're gonna need to put some tension on it this direction. And it looks like if we just pull back on this, so let's first get ourselves a new line to stretch from here. Something like that. And actually, let's pop some of that a little bit back up. Let's see too, if we pull down on this, that leaves a lot of fingers. Okay, so we really need to go like kind of up this way with it. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can get that to work. I pulled down on that a little bit to get rid of some of this extra material that was up here. It's kind of bunching up. And then we'll get some tack in here. And push this up into that grill. Okay, great. And it's definitely gonna need that relief cut in there. We're not gonna get away with this one not being there. Okay, and then let's get this part down here now taken care of. All right, so I'm gonna pop this back up, just stay below this line here, body line. Okay, so first, let's see if we can just get these fingers out of here. So that's gonna require a little bit of a pull down, but we're trying to leave as much of that extra material there as possible, because we don't need the extra material here. It's gonna work against us at that point. So I think I'm gonna be able to push like something like that out without an issue. So let's go ahead and squeegee this part down. Okay. And then something else I'm gonna do here is get us a relief cut here. Get rid of some of this extra material. All right, so let's get all this tucked into place. We're gonna need some tack in there. Okay, so something like that looks really good. And let's go ahead and get some slip on the outside of this. I'm gonna put a little bit more tack here on the corner so we can get that down really good right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this down. Okay, so that all looks really good. Okay, great. Now, let's get all this part down here. So it looks like I can kind of stretch a little bit this direction and a little bit down. And that, hopefully some of the, I got a piece of hair in there. Okay, it's gone. Just spray that out. Make sure we got rid of it. Yep, okay. So if we pull this down, we're gonna create a finger here. So what we're gonna try and do is put a little bit of stretch basically down to this corner here. And let's see if we can start working these fingers out towards our hand here. Great, okay, great. That's gonna work. So by doing this, we're obviously putting more tension in this corner, but I think we're gonna be able to get that to go down without a problem. Let's go ahead and get some tack solution in here. And put as little tension on it as possible. And I'm even going to try, let's fold it over on itself. Okay, there we go. I'm going to try pushing up a little bit and putting some extra material in there without leaving too much excess right there so that we can still get it down. Okay, so something like that looks really good. See, I'm just trying to work this finger down without creasing it over on itself. Okay, so something like that probably should work pretty good. Let's go ahead and get all this down. Okay, now let's get this guy down. This is, yeah, I mean, you know, it'd be so much easier just to put a relief cut right there and you wouldn't have to mess with all this. But I'm just trying to really manipulate this film and get it to work in here. Okay. So I don't know if you just saw what I did there, but that worked and that got that finger out very nicely. Let's see. So it's a little bit of the edge there isn't quite hard enough to really push out some stuff that is very small and doesn't want to push down. So this squeegee, I definitely think that so far I like the black one best as far as how rigid it is. Okay, let's get this all the way down here. Come all the way over to this part of the grill here. I'm gonna go ahead and relieve some tension here. As far over as I can go, making sure that we don't get too close. Okay, great. Now let's get a bunch of tack in here and let's get this pushed down and get it to stick down in here. You could also use steam in here, would be really helpful, but I didn't set the steamer up for today and I'm not going to go get it now. All right, so let's tuck this in. And then I'm gonna just use my finger there, kind of push it down into place. Let's make sure we're getting all this water out. Okay, great. Okay, so that's looking really good, but we are gonna have to pay attention right in here. Well, hang on. Let me make sure that we got all of the tack and slip solution out of here. Okay, it's kind of a interesting area to get good pressure in. Okay, so now what we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm just gonna put the relief cut or a cut into this area right now as far as for the final trim on this. Something like that. And then let's go ahead and take this part over. I'm just basically on the rest of this just riding right in between the these two, because we want to get this down, and it'll stay down better if it's not attached to anything else back in there, because when it's attached just to this piece, what's going to happen is it's going to hold moisture in there, and it's not going to want to stay down because the moisture is going to help it continue to pop back up. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and push this down like this. Great. Okay, shouldn't have any problems with that, but just keep an eye on this area and make sure that when you go back and you're doing your heat sealing at the end, you get this area really good, because that way it's not going to pop up, but if you get a good heat seal on that as well, it's like insurance, right? Okay, great. All right, get rid of this pre-tacking. And we know from the other side that we want this to be down as far as possible to make sure and get all of our good coverage that we're looking for. And then we're gonna be able to just push all of this out with I think we use just the tiniest bit of stretch in this area on the other side. And so first thing we're gonna do is get ourselves a soft line to stretch from, because this has already been drying. That's a hard line now, where the material stopped and was still wet and was dry. That's a hard line because the adhesive has had quite a bit of time to cure. So let's get ourselves a soft line to stretch from so we don't get stretch marks. And while I'm waiting for that to tack up a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and push some of this down here. Basically just doing a swipe and hold into that recess. Okay. Left a little, let's see, is that a water? It is a little water pocket. All right, so this red one I think that's an 80 durometer. It's not quite strong enough to push out stuff like this. Although that doesn't want to go out either. Okay, there we go. Not quite aggressive as this black one. Okay, so we've got all this down now. That's had a moment to start kind of tacking up a little bit. Let's go ahead and get a tiny bit of stretch on there and get this scooted over here. Let's get a mist on here. Okay, easy peasy. So I noticed that during this install that this bottom section on this side of the bumper was a little bit easier to install than the other side, and that's either going to be because of one of two things. One, it was easier to install because I had already figured it out on the other side, or two, I actually added a bit more stretch there to this side from the center over than I did on the other side. Okay. Now let's make sure that we've got this good. Okay, that's looking really good. Now let's go ahead and get this section down. You know, with this bumper having minimal like stretching, we're able to just like let things hang out a lot more, which is actually kind of kind of nice. Usually I'm like trying to jam through this part really quick to get this done so that I can move on, and this has actually been pretty nice. Okay, so we want to put as little tension on this as possible, because the more tension we put, the more finger we create over here. So let's see how that's going to work. And I'm going to start up here above that, and then just kind of work our way down, and just pull down as much as I need to get rid of these fingers here. Okay, swipe and hold on this stuff here. There still might be quite a bit of water in this, so we'll go ahead and go back over that in a moment. Okay, let's get this laid down into place here where it's going to end up. Just a tiny bit more stretch to get rid of a little bit more of this extra material right here. And then we'll go ahead and squeegee this down. Oop, I left a little air pocket there behind. We don't want that. Okay, let's get that right back up real quick. Some more tack in there, and then get this laid down after we put a little bit of a slip on the outside there. Okay, so let's get this part down again. Okay, great. Let's bring this over. Let's get a little tack in here too, because we're just going to want this to stay down right now anyway. Okay. So let's take care of this little finger here that's going this way. Perfect. Okay, then we'll get the rest of this to go down. And I'm going to start over here and push that down in the middle, and that'll kind of help split that finger so that we pushing some of it down over here and getting rid of it, and then pushing some of it down over here and getting rid of it. It's nice to break those up. Okay, just double checking to make sure that I didn't leave any moisture behind anywhere. Okay, everything's looking really good. Let's get the rest of this down all the way to the bottom here. Okay, and I want to bring as much back as I can this way so that it just even helps us with less fingers over here. So that looks like that's going to be the max that I can do right there. Squeegee this down right on that very contour. And then yeah, this guy's not quite rigid enough for me. So let's go to this one. And now I'm really going to wish this one had that angle on it. I'm going to have to cut another one of these. Okay. Look at that. Looking good. Okay, great. That's all pushed down really well. Just double check it. Looks good. All right, now we'll start working on some of this here and getting this pulled back. Mist everything down. Check for pre-tacking. Okay. So that looks pretty good right there. Got a little bit of, I don't know if this is, I don't know, it's like in the paint. No, it came off. I don't know how that's possible. Whatever that was. Little piece of contamination right there. It's a little piece of dirt, I guess. Okay, good. Okay, that got rid of it. I mean, they're super small, but you know, the less any little black specks you can leave underneath there, obviously the better. All right, this has been sitting for just a moment, so I'm gonna go ahead and get myself a soft line to stretch from. Okay, then actually that just lays down really nicely. So let's just start squeegeeing this out. I am gonna go ahead and spray a little bit of tack in here. Great. Okay, and can we go up a little bit? Not really. So we're just gonna, this will be fine, just like this. I'll go up just a little bit, put a little bit of a finger right there, then we'll take care of that at the top there. Okay, just a little bit of stretch to get rid of this tension there. Then we'll take the rest of this up. Make sure we didn't leave anything behind. Okay. Then we'll push this up to the top here and over the edge. And actually, I'm gonna go ahead and get some more tack in this up here. Because of the way I tilted this one up, we'll see if that makes any difference. It did put some more fingers up here on the top. So there's just, and it's not so much, I mean, fingers, yes. Extra material, yes. Problem? No. Okay, so I'm just going over that ridge or this line that's right here, the contour, and holding right at that contour. Okay, make sure all this is good and squeezed out. Let's go ahead and put our relief cut in this one. Okay. And we'll get some tack in here. Some mist on the top. And let's get this to go down. So I can kind of bring this over a little bit this way, and that helps get rid of some of the finger there. And we'll do with that what we need to. Make sure we've got all this pushed out. Okay. All right, that looks great. Let's hold that in place. Make sure all this stuff stays down. Make sure we didn't leave any moisture behind. And then just so you know, we're going to cut this directly on the edge here. We're not going to try and wrap this part at all. That's too much of a turn for this material to be expected to go around that and then stay stuck down. And actually, you know what? Let's see if there's something else we can do here. So I'm gonna put a little bit more tack back in here again, and we're gonna stretch this up a little bit. See if we can give ourselves a little bit more extra material here at the top, so we can go over that edge a little more. Okay, so I'm gonna go over this and then hold like that, and then let's squeegee all this out. Okay, great. Let's see, yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, that's looking really good. We'll get over to this now. Little tack under there. Mist on top, and we will go ahead and squeegee all of this over and tuck this in. Great. And then we know with this, we just let it go down where it's going to be, where it's going to go down relaxed. And we'll squeegee this out. Okay. Make sure we got all the solutions out. And now let's go ahead and put our relief in this one. So right about, say, there. Just making sure we stay plenty low. Okay, and then with here, we can just go ahead and cut this off. Okay, great. Now let's get around to this bottom part. Oh, we're coming up just a little bit right here. So let's get some tack in there. Nope, right here too. Okay. Soap, it's got, quite a decent amount of soap in it, so it's not just like sticking really, quickly. So we're gonna add some tack there and just get that to stay down so it's not continually, popping back up if we bump it. Okay. That will start to cure now and stay down. All right, so make sure you're looking at what we're doing. And let's go ahead and get on this last section here. And then we can start trimming things out, I believe. Okay, wet that down. Pull this back here. Just make sure we're not pre-tacking. Great. Okay, so we are going to need to put a little bit of stretch on this, just like we did last time. I'm going to go ahead and get some tack in here. And then we'll go ahead and put this stretch on here. So that looks good. Yep, that looks really good. Right like that. Okay, that's looking really good. That was a good first stretch. Nailed it. All right. We'll go ahead, I'm just gonna take out this top part first like we did last time and get this stuff to go up there as far as we can. I'm gonna push this down. It kept popping, it kept trying to come back over. So I'm gonna push that down and then hold that for a second. Let's get this part down over that body line there. Okay, and then I'm gonna put some tack in here now because as we get closer to this part, it's gonna not want to stay down as easily. And let's go ahead on this one. Let's just put this down right now. And I'm gonna go ahead and go right here and make my cut like this. We'll see how we like that compared to the other side. Wet that back down. Okay, let's go ahead and squeegee all this out. Little finger there, we'll get that pushed down. Okay, yeah, I do like that better than what I did on the other side. It's not much different, but I'll just be probably showing you guys this side and not bothering with the other side since I made a little change to it, and I think that looks better. I made the cut more out here, and I think that I like this a lot better. Okay, let's go ahead and get all this down. And then we need to make sure that we got this body line pushed out really good. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and just stop there and continue get our work done here. Let's get this rounded up. Okay, so everything's pushed out there. I'm gonna put a little bit more tack in this corner and we're gonna get that to stay down. Hopefully with the tip of this one. Perfect. Great. Okay. All right, so now let's go ahead. This is looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and how do we want to finish this off here? We've got a good sized finger right here. So we don't want any of this pre-tacking because we want that to be able to float around a little bit. So that it'll kind of go where it needs to in order to push that out, kind of break it up. So basically all I'm saying there is that if this part is tacked and this part is tacked, the only way for this to shrink itself into the material is just that one spot. So it makes it much easier for it to crease over. Now, if it can float in here, it can use this whole area to shrink and get rid of that extra. All right, let's go ahead, start over here and work our way this direction. I do have, man, this little hair is chasing, I'm chasing this hair around this whole time on this side though. Right here. Oh, he didn't completely break loose. Did break loose that time, so let's flush this guy out of here. Get out of here, you little brat. Okay, so now that we saw that this was gonna go down really good, I'm gonna go ahead and just put some tack in here. Okay, and I'll give this just a tiny bit of tug back this direction and also up just a little bit. That'll help get rid of some of the excess down here. Let's see, that's going to go away. Great. Okay, I'll take this down now. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and remove some of this excess material so that we can work in here. Let's see. Okay, go up to that one. And we'll take this away. Great. Now, okay, so let's just go ahead and finish this off and then we'll get back up here and get that down. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna block the camera a little bit here. So I'm gonna pull a little bit of tension into that. Hold that very edge down with my finger and we'll start pushing this stuff out over to my finger. And then let's get this guy down now. Okay, so we can hold that down with our finger. Let's go ahead and squeegee everything down. Well, that's not going down real great. You know, that red card just doesn't have enough. You can't put enough pressure. It's a little too flexible, so I'm going to make that call on that. It works good for some stuff, but in this little area, it's definitely not getting enough pressure on it. And that other black one's just way too big for this area without having that part cut at a contour or an angle at the front. Okay, so let's get that down. Okay, there we go. Hold that in place for a minute with a swipe and hold. Let's get this top part back down again. Okay, hold that in place for a moment. While that's holding, I'll go ahead and squeegee some of this out. Okay, just like the other side, to get this to stay down and not continue to pop back up, we're gonna go ahead and trim this now. So start back here. come down. Now the material is off of the bumper, so we want to, you know, keep that in mind. Great. Finish tearing that. Great. Okay, let's go ahead and push this down, get this to stay down. All right, now without all that moisture in that edge, this is going to be able to push down and stay down. Beautiful. All right, and then we shouldn't have to worry about that popping back up once I get it all the way down and dried out. I really need one of these with the angle on it. I wish I had that black one to go into this, because it would just get a ton more pressure on this corner. All right, so what I'm gonna do is take this black edge here and I'm gonna push that in. I'm gonna hold that film in place with it, and I'm getting past the edge so I'm soaking up all the water. There we go. Great. Let's see what we can do down here now. Looks like this has come off just a little bit down here on the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some more tack solution in here. Okay, but let's take care of this part right here. Uh-oh, dropped my towel into a pond. Okay, get this down. Swipe and hold on this little corner. Okay, great. There we go. Okay, let's get this down now. Let's see what we can do here. Let's get this part on. So we'll give it just the tension, barely any tension. Pull it back, get squeegeed into place, and we'll tuck it in right here, and then tuck it in at the bottom. That's going to help hold that in place. Okay, and then we'll go on this side all the way to the bottom. So just kind of this extra material here that's making this want to pop up. So I'm going to go ahead and put, the stretch isn't much here. So let's see where this is going to go down to, like right there, and then I will cut through the material like right here. So we'll let that pop back up, and I'll cut through, and then we'll tuck this down, and then we'll tuck this other side down here. Make sure you're getting all the air and water out. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one in here. Actually, let's do it like this, and then I'll use this one to tuck this part in. That's not going to work that good. Okay, so let's go ahead with this one right here again. And then we'll put that with the corner part into there and hold that for a moment. Okay. Now we could take this tear down even further, or this relief cut here. Okay, great. And we could also, let's see, there's still some good tension on this. So let me get some water. The tack solution, this material seems to have lost its tack down here, and that could be because I let it sit down there with tack solution in it for so long. But let's see if we can get this down and into place, and if it'll, oh, that might be sticking this time. Maybe it just wasn't getting a good pass on it with the squeegee. Make sure all this is good and squeegeed out, and then we can tuck this in as well. That'll help keep it from popping back up. Okay, that looks great. Now what? Now what? We basically got this on. So now we're going to be needing to tuck a few things. So we need to tuck this in or wrap it here. All right, let's get you over here. Okay, so we need to get this wrapped in here. And then we need to get this tucked all the way to this chrome piece here, all the way around. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see, how can you get a good angle on this? All right, so I'm gonna get some tack solution up in here. Alrighty. Get a little mist on this. And then we know that we're right here. We're going to start wrapping in. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little cut, basically come down from like right there. I'm going to come like straight down like this. And that just ensures that we don't cut off something that we're going to need for this. We don't cut this way and cut off more than we should, because we're going to need some, you know, we want full coverage right here. Okay, and then what I'll go ahead and do is start over here. Just start slide chomping this into place. Then we'll go ahead and chomp this part into place. Oop, we got a little finger there that's wanting to crease over on itself, so I'll pull that back up. Okay, I'll just keep tucking this down to here. And then let's just hold that in place for a moment, get that to stick down. Great. And then we're going to need to get this back a little bit. And let's see, can we get rid of a little bit of this excess? Will that help? Great. And let's get some tack back in here. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and chomp this down, just tucking it in between the two panels there. Okay, let's make sure that we got everything off that bend, not leaving any moisture behind. Okay, great. Okay, now that we have this kind of in place a bit more, I'm going to go ahead and put a cut on this right like this here, and come right over to where we're already cut right there. Let's tear those two so they meet. Now we've got that cut over to the whatever that's called, that plastic grill, and let's tuck this into place, because cutting that is going to get rid of a lot of this tension here, which is going to help this to stay down once we tuck it in. Just checking for any moisture. All right, so let's get this off of the chrome here, because we're not able to quite tuck it in enough, so it's not going to stay down. Great. Great. Okay, so everything is down and in place. Everything is tucked in. We're good. Let's take care of the other side in these couple little small areas. Okay, so again, we want to get rid of the excess material, or at least get a line cut in this. So we're going to go from right here, and we'll kind of round like this and just come out this direction. Great. All right, so there's a little bit of moisture left up in here as far as air pockets and things, because we haven't done anything with this yet as far as pushing it down. So we want to make sure that we pull all the way up to those. And we'll get some tack in here. And then we'll start chomping this down. So I'm going to do a slide over this contour first, the body line there, and then we'll tuck this in. Okay, make sure that you're getting good pressure in these type of areas so you're not leaving anything behind. let's tuck this guy in all the way back. Can't tell if I have air. Nope. Okay. Thought I might have an air pocket right there, but I don't. Okay, that looks really good. And then we're going to work our way down this whole thing here. So let's do the same thing we did on the other side and get rid of a little bit of this extra material and get it out of our way. Okay, so let's see. Careful not to hit the chrome. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get some tack solution in here. Little mist on top, and we'll get this tucked in. Okay. That looks good. Making our way around and up in. Beautiful. Okay, great. Just making sure I didn't leave any moisture behind. Okay. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit for probably about 15 minutes. Make sure that everything's really starting to cure, and then we'll come back and we'll trim this out. We've got everything tucked in really nice, so I might even just go around and double check, make sure everything's tucked in, but just by glancing over this, we're in great shape. I shouldn't need to touch anything, and then we'll come back, trim this, and then let that sit for a while, and then we'll heat seal. So, see you back. All right, let's get this side wrapped in. So we'll go down the face first, and then we'll work our way around here. Let's see, let's get this part in the middle down first, and we'll work away from that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut some of this material out of here. And then let's put some tack in there. This side had a lot more water in it left over, so it's not wanting to stick down. All right, wrap this part around, and then we'll take this down. I'm just gonna go past that and kind of do a swipe and hold on that very edge. See if we can get this, convince this to stay down right now. Okay, that looks good. A little bit up here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start trimming this bumper out. Okay. Let's see how far we want this to go back in there. It looks like we're going to be trying to cut this off right at the edge there, the bumper. We don't want it to go back in there and hang off the edge. It does round over and go flat. Not for very long. So let's go ahead and make sure that that's fully tucked past that edge. And then this part right here is still not completely stuck down. Let's get some tack in there. Okay, and then tuck all this in. I'll do a swipe and hold on that, on the very edge. And work our way up. Okay, great. Okay. So I'm kind of pulling up on this a little bit, and that's just to make sure that it's not hanging down in our way as we try to make this cut across here. And it's best if this is stuck down pretty good, so that, because if it pops up off of the paint and you go across it with a blade, it's not going to want to cut there, because it's going to want to like pull the material. It basically, like, let's say this section was not stuck and you cut across it, it's going to start putting tension on that material, because the blade going through the material, or, you know, cutting into the material a little bit, and then it's going to bunch it up at the end, and then you're going to have a jagged edge right there. We'll go ahead and start here and then work our way around. So I've got a brand new blade in here. Get that pushed down. Okay, I'll just come, I'll take this straight. Well, let's see here. This isn't all stuck down. Gosh, I was really slacking on my finishing to stick this stuff down real well. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go to this part that's lifted up and put a little cut in that. And then we can start right there and work our way down and around. Okay, so I'm just going to the very edge there. Being careful not to hang over. Okay. Looking good. Underneath the light here. It's kind of a little bit of an awkward angle. So, but it's good practice. Okay. Over to here. We'll make a little turn down. And then we'll just come across right on the front of the bumper here. Down like this. Come down just a little bit more, and then come over. And we can go ahead and tear. Well, we're not gonna be able to tear from right there. Oh, yep. Nope. Okay. Let's go from the other side. I kind of didn't get a good tear right there, or a good cut on that edge. So we don't want to pull out this way. We really want to kind of tear this stuff backwards, but I can't get a hold of that little corner there. So I'm going to come back over here and try and, you know, just get a better cut here. Okay, that time I'm getting a little bit of squeak, which is good. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead here and we'll push all that back down, and it went off our tear, or went off our cut line there. So we'll go ahead and I am gonna need to get this and start coming this direction. So let me go get a pair of tweezers, and we'll get that and pull tear from there. All right, so let's go ahead and get a hold of that, and then make sure that we've got a good tear line. Okay, good. Just be really careful, because we're tearing this at the incorrect angle a little bit. So just make sure that it's looking like it's staying, you know, a nice uniform line contour with the bumper. There we go. Okay, we'll get a little bit more tack solution in there, because that did pop up just a little bit while we were tearing it, because of that funky angle we had to tear at. And then we'll lay this back down. Okay. Very nice. All right, I'm gonna bring the bumper back up and then we can do the wheel well and work our way around this bottom section. All right, so back in here, we're already, fully cut off the edge there. So I'm gonna go ahead and make maybe like a little 45 there. So we're not leaving just a straight 90-degree cut there. And I'm gonna cut right down at the edge of the bumper. Then we'll get here. At the very bottom, I'll do kind of like a little 45. I went a little low there. So I'm gonna start back up. Bring this around. And we can go right along the bottom. Okay, see how that worked. Okay, and that went the wrong way, but that's fine. It was bound to happen. It followed the first tear line or the first cut line I did. Okay. Okay, and that came off of the tear line, no problem. We'll start up here and come back down around. But before we do that, let's go ahead and dry out some of this edge here. And then let's get this edge dried out as well. Okay, great. We're gonna go ahead and do this part now here. Okay, so we're gonna start way up here. And I'm just gonna go, let's see, I'm actually gonna go right on the bumper here. Down to about here, and we can turn, come down, go all the way through that one at the very end there. All right, let's get this part to start tearing here. Not well though. Okay. So let's see if it'll go the other direction. Otherwise, there might be something wrong with this blade. All right, I'm gonna get myself a new blade. I don't feel like it's biting real good into the material. Okay, so let's try this again here. So we're ending right, let's see, right here. Okay, so back in there, I'm actually like going all the way through the material in between these two pieces. And then we'll come up to our cut line here eventually, and we'll be tearing. There we go. Great. Okay, we'll go ahead and wrap this in there. It does have a little bit to stick to in there, so let's get a little bit of tack in there. And then we'll go ahead and wrap this in. Great. Okay, that looks really good. And this is hanging over just a little bit, which is fine. It'll all stick down once we let it dry for a little bit, and we can just push it down, and then we'll do the heat sealing process on it. Okay, with this one, we're just going to go right in between the bumper and the grille here. and cut the material back in there. It's getting pretty tight. Just running right in between there. Okay, this has come off the bumper a little bit right here, so we can just come out of there because we are cutting all the way through, so we'll be able to pick that edge up really nicely. Tuck that back down real quick, come down, and then we'll try to give it a little bit of a rounded corner there at the very end. Great. Okay. All right, let's get this part tucked back in there a little. Okay, it's going to be hard to go from this side and cut down because this material is not stuck down really well right here. So let's go from here up. And at the end there, I'm going to come back towards myself just a little bit. And then let's see where our cut ends right there. I get another, well actually hang on, okay, let's get this up first because we're gonna end up running into this. It's just gonna be in the way. So let's see, I think actually what we're gonna do, we'll go ahead and stay kind of close to the face right here on this stuff. So it's not quite stuck to the bumper, so I'm doing a little bit of a sawing motion to help make sure that I get a cut through it. And then we're going to go ahead and go back in there. So we're basically going between the bumper and the grill. Okay. Didn't get that cut through enough there. Okay, then we'll take this all the way down. Get some tack back in there, and then we'll tuck this back in. Great. Okay, so we can start up right where this one is leaving off right there. Just in between the two. Okay. So, you know, the other thing that you could do with this is that you could just cut like this one here where it's more just on the face than it is tucked in there. And that would probably save you some time. Because you wouldn't have to worry about the film tucking back in there and pushing it down and then making sure that when you're heat sealing it that you get a tool back in there to push that down. So doing it this way hides that edge pretty well, but it also makes it just a little bit more difficult. Let's get that dried out right there. Okay, now let's come across from here over. Okay, so this is coming up just a tiny bit here. Let's get that back down like that, and then we'll go from back there, come across. Come across here, go right here. Bring it out to that other cut we just made. Hope we're getting enough, deep enough there. Okay, and then here we're gonna go ahead and come up from there. Right up to the edge. Great. Let's see if we can get this to break loose. Okay, let's see if we can get the turn to break loose. Yep. Come across the bottom, around the corner, towards the back there. Okay, great. Go ahead and draw out these edges now. All right, I think there's a little water pocket right there on that, just on the very edge. Okay. That looks good. Let's go ahead and get this part trimmed out now. And what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'll start down here, because obviously we're not gonna be able to come this direction with that part. And then we need this to be down as flush as possible with that grill. Otherwise we're gonna bump into it with our finger and the blade. All right, I'm gonna get a new blade. So go ahead and start right here, and then we'll cut over to the center. Okay, unfortunately, this material is starting to bulge out a little bit right here, and I'm gonna run into that. So let's go ahead and tear this now and get over to where we stopped, because I lost my cut line. Okay, and I'm gonna call that like right about there. Oh yeah. There's definitely was something wrong with those blades. I opened up a brand new pack. I'm getting a squeak now. I wasn't getting a squeak before. Okay, just tearing this right on that line. Bam. Beauty. Go ahead and tuck that in again. Let me see here. You know, I think the other thing that I'm noticing is that this black one will still glide across the surface of the paint protection film much better when the surface is a little bit drier. That other one wants to grab a lot more. So that's another difference between those two different hardnesses. Great, let's go ahead and we'll lower this down, and we'll cut the material up here or trim it off. All right, so for this part, we're attached to the top there. I'm gonna go ahead and come down like this. And we're just gonna go right on this corner here. Definitely don't want it to wrap around in this area, because there's nothing for it to stick to, and it's way too sharp of a bend, and we can't get in there to put any pressure on the material. Oh, I just lost my line. We're gonna say it's right there. Give it a little guesstimate. Just right at that edge. Okay, I'll stop right there. Let's get this started here, the tear started. Oh, I think that must be where, is that where I went off? Lost my cut? Who knows? All right, let's come out here a little bit. Let's see if we can get this to tear out here. Nope. How about right here? Nope. Okay, so let's go ahead and try to reconnect these two. So go ahead and go back to here. Come across like this. And go right up to where that material stops. Let's see if we can get this to tear it all. There we go. Great. Now stay on that line all the way across, right? Do it. Just stay on it. Good. They met back up. Just be careful, because when things out here start to get stuck and you're pulling on this, things can break loose, and then it makes this go, your tear go much faster than you were going. And the problem you can have with that is if it happens to tear off the wrong direction and you go, huh, you can just tear right out into the material. So just be careful. Okay, we'll take this back to right there where it's stopping. We will dry this edge out now. Get that to start drying. Great. All right, just to speed the process along, I'm just gonna go ahead and go over half of that with you, and then I'll take care of the other side by myself, and we'll reconvene at heat sealing. All right, well, this is sat, completely dried. Let's go ahead and seal the edges on this bumper. All right, so we'll go ahead and start on this edge of the bumper here and work our way around. There is a seam or a stamp, from the stamping of the bumper. I'm not sure. The mold or whatever, a seam right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of heat on that, try to push that down as well as I can, and then let's get this very end sealed really well so dirt doesn't travel down or water travel down in there. Okay, we'll go ahead and heat this edge up inside here. Push it down. Okay, we'll work our way around. So I'm just warming this edge up and then pushing it down with my finger. Now when I get to areas like underneath the headlight here where I can't reach in there with my finger, I'm gonna go ahead and warm those up. And then I'm gonna go over them with a tool that'll fit in there. Okay, let's see here, get up there, and then the rest of this I should be able to get with my finger. Across the top there, we'll come down around the grill. You want to be very methodical about this to make sure that you don't miss any areas. If your glove stops sliding fairly easily across the material, you'll want to speed up or at least get the heat away from the film, because you're starting to get a little bit too warm and you're running the risk of damaging that edge of the film. This is it's a fairly tedious process, but it will make a big difference in your installs. If we heat seal this edge, it just minimizes the possibility of this popping up over time. So it'll keep a much cleaner edge that stays sealed down, because when you get those little edges, like if you get real close to the edge like these are, and you're trying to basically kind of curl that edge a tiny bit, or you're running right on the edge, those things that are just turning just a little bit or curling over that edge just a little bit, they don't like to stick real well, because they don't like that rounded surface. They'd prefer to go around that corner and then stick to a flat part. So putting the heat on there and then pushing those down will help those stay stuck. Unless they're just absolutely not going to stay down, which then, there's basically nothing you can do. But this gives you the best possibility of getting things down and keeping them stay down over time. So you'll notice that your work will look so much better over time if you go ahead and make sure that you're doing this process. Okay. We'll come across the bottom here. So if there's any parts, like right here, I don't know if you can see that, but right here, this paint protection film on this edge is not stuck down. So what I want to do is get that stuck down first, and then we'll put some heat on it. The reason I don't want to heat that edge up while it's popped up is because, let's say it was not stuck in this area here, but it's stuck right here. But when I put some heat on this material here is going to have to absorb all that heat, so you're going to really heat that film up. But over here, you're going to be heating the material, and then that heat is going to dissipate through right into the bumper, because it just transfers it right into the bumper. So then the problem is that you get this part too hot, so it's inconsistent, right? And you can then, when you're pushing this edge down, you can damage this edge by either folding it over. It'll fold over on itself a bunch of times, and you have to trim that out then. Or if you go over that edge, you can fray that edge, is what I call it. And basically it just makes it look a little jagged and kind of white, which won't be so noticeable on this color, but on a black, it's very noticeable. It's more noticeable, and then you have to cut that out as well. Neither one of those things are recoverable from. As far as, you can't just like heat the material up and then push it down a different way. You've damaged that edge of that material. Okay, so I did get this in there a little ways. The other thing that you guys can do, I don't know how many of you are still watching at this point, but when you're cutting out this paint protection film, you don't necessarily have to go in there so far like I did here. You could just cut right at the edge there and not cut in between the two panels, and then you're still going to get some amazing coverage. Things are going to look really good, but it's going to be much easier to heat seal, because you're going to be able to see that edge really well and reach it really easily. Like this edge is like back in there, right? So I'm going to have to heat this up and then stuff a tool back in there. So then I have to take this tool, get it back in there. I've got some new ones of these on the way. This one's toast. All right, so we'll just keep doing this. So right there, if you can see that, there is a little finger there. So I'm gonna go ahead and push that down. I couldn't reach that with my finger, so I had to use this tool to reach in there to push that down. That's where you can make things a lot easier on yourself. If you just cut it off at the edge there instead of back in there. Because this will have a cleaner look to it over time because those edges are really tucked back in there, but you are going to spend a ton more time on this install. And so, you know, you have to basically weigh that. Is it worth the extra time to get that down for that customer, for that specific vehicle install? Or is it better, you know, are you just trying to get that car out and you're more worried about saving time than you are about, you know, hiding every edge? Because definitely, you know, jobs are different. You know, we have some customers, it's like, well, you're just going to spend as much time as you can on this person's vehicle and tuck and hide as many edges as possible. They're, you know, particular, but they're also willing to pay for that extra service. And then you have customers that are like, no, I just want some solid protection on here, and they're not going to be so picky about it, and maybe they're not paying for that extra service. All right, hopefully you can see these little fingers coming up. And what I want to do is run over those first with my finger and get those down, because those would heat up and crease over incredibly easily. Okay, and then we'll put some heat on this. And I'm going to take this tool here and we're going to touch up, you know, run this over the edges. And those ones again are pretty far back in there. Great. All right, and then we've got the same situation here. Okay. Got a little finger right there. Get it pushed down first. And we can heat everything up. All right, we're getting there. So I'm sticking my fingernail into that gap right there so I can get the very edge of the material pushed down. Okay, I've got some fingers popping up over there, so we'll get over there and push those down first. All right, so first things first, get all this pushed down. Okay, now we can add some heat to this. And then push it down again. Great. A little chip there or something in the paint. Okay. Get this pushed down before we put some heat on it. And another thing you'll get really good at is making sure that you're not pointing your heat gun at something you shouldn't be while you're pushing this stuff down. You always want to be aware of where your heat gun is pointing, because you will melt things or set things on fire with this heat gun. Although, you know, at 800 degrees it's going to take a little bit longer to set it on fire, but we definitely don't want to be melting anything. Alrighty, well, that's the process of installing paint protection film on the front bumper of this Acura. If you found anything helpful or useful, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.